Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our programming. Hope you're liking the hip hop videos we're giving your way when you're in between the sessions. So, welcome to our first panel of agency growth events. Because we said, hey, what good is a show without an actual panel? So, joining me today, we got Roland Gurney and Goff. And these speakers are experts in their fields, and they'll be talking to us today about how to get new clients and how to serve them better. So we will be starting with Roland, but before that, let me give you a very quick introduction into who Roland is. Roland is the co-founder of an agency called Treacle Copywriters, and he actually writes copy. He fixes the copy of international agencies, and you can imagine what it was like trying to email him in my foreigner's English and try to convince him to come speak at our events. But it seems that I've made it. And our second speaker is Goff. He's a bit pixelated right now, but hopefully it'll get better. And Lee is the founder of Marketing Agency Coach, and he coaches digital agencies and tells them how to get better. So in our panel today, we're talking about, there he is. In our panel, we're talking about where to play and how to win. So we'll be talking about how to get new clients and how to keep them. So on getting the new clients bit, let's go to Roland and he'll tell us about how to write better to actually convince them in the first place. So Roland, over to you first.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. So I'm going to just load up some slides and then hopefully you can see that. So yeah, as Baris said, my name's Roland and I run Treacle, and we do positioning, messaging and copywriting specifically for agencies themselves. So we're very niche, we're very nerdy, and we do that for the reason that your words win you work. So as you know, from your agency's website to your social media, from your pitch decks to your proposals, every bit of copy, every word you use really counts, it really matters. And your words are key to helping you stand out in a crowded market, and there are more and more agencies than ever. Your words are what help you speak up with a really distinctive and unique voice. And ultimately, your words are the thing that help you sell better. They're the thing that persuade clients to choose you over other agencies. But you'll find, as I'm sure you're aware, that most agencies sound similar. So you've probably done a Google at some point of agencies in your space. You've maybe had a look around, a little spy on the competitors. And, I spend an unnatural amount of time looking at agencies' websites. And it comes to a point where you could almost swap the logo out because what they're saying is almost identical. It has the same kind of cliches, the same kind of big kind of claims, empty claims, and similar buzzwords. It's all kind of relatively identikit all the way through. But I think the thing that agencies don't always realize about what makes great copy is it's not really about how good you are at writing. It's not really about how poetic you are, how many English degrees you've got, whether you're a novelist or you have an amazing turn of phrase. The really, really good copy that agencies have is built on 90% strategy and 10% writing. So that strategy is really about finding what makes you special or interesting. It's really knowing your strengths. It's knowing exactly who your target client is, what they care about, and how you can match those two things. It's thinking about where you can find some space in a very crowded sector, what makes you stand out, what can just separate you from the pack just enough. And then all of those things combined are what help you get the 10% writing. Now, the analogy that we often use, hence the picture, your strategy really is like the architectural drawings. It's the foundations. The writing part is the decoration. It's the final 10%. But, with any building, it comes down to all of the groundwork, the foundations that you lay first, the planning, the big picture thinking. It's not down to the finishing touches. And that's a key part. So with that in mind and keeping that analogy going, I'm going to run through 5 kind of DIY, do-it-yourself copy tips that are going to help your agency. So number 1 is climb inside your ideal client's brain. So great copy really knows exactly who it's talking to. Now, if you're a full service agency, a generalist agency, so you have lots of services and you're offering them to multiple people, You may have already found that that kind of copy is quite hard to nail because it has to be kind of catch-all by its very nature. And the more commitment and focus you're willing to have, the more narrowed down on who you want your ideal client to be, the more resonant your copy can be. Now, if you're kind of wondering who your ideal client is, I can tell you that they are the people who you love to work with, where you can really do your best work and where they have the budget to pay for that work. Now, working them out is, you need to kind of know them inside out. Now, the outside is the easier part, right? It's their sort of business demographic. So what sector are they in? Where they're based? What's their location? What kind of turnover? Their head count, some of their business challenges, that kind of external stuff is quite easy to find. And if you write your copy around that, then that's fine. You know, that will work to a certain extent. But if you climb inside your client's brain and go inside and think about what really motivates them, okay, so thinking about things that keep them up at night, the things that scare them, the things that get them really excited, the things that make the hairs on the back of their neck tingle. If you can get inside their head in that kind of depth, then you can enter the conversation that they're having inside their heads, and you can make your copy and messaging appeal to that. And that's much more persuasive in terms of conversions than it is just kind of appealing to their business demographic. So tip 1, climb inside your client's brain. 2 is, you may be seen this before, sell them the whole, not the drill. So what this really means is, you know, when any of us want to buy a drill, for example, right, we don't go into a hardware store and we probably don't choose the drill we want based on, you know, the color it is. I'm not looking for a blue one or a green one. I'm not buying one that's a certain kind of plug. It's not a 240 volt plug. I don't generally buy those features of the drill. I don't really care about the features that much. What I'm trying to do is make a hole in a wall to hang a picture, or to do, you know, to put up a shelf, something like that. So the analogy here really is the way that agencies communicate and sell what they do. So a lot of agencies will sell the drill, and that's the features, the functional stuff, the service that you offer. That might be, you know, what it is, what clients get, how long it takes, you know, the process, and that's fine, right? And that is an important part. You shouldn't neglect that. But as humans, you know, and clients are humans as well, what they really buy is the whole, right? What they really want is the benefit of that, not just the feature. So this might seem quite basic, but it's a real key point. So you want to be selling them the whole, the benefit, the thing they're going to get. Now, this analogy only goes so far to me. I think you've probably heard it before, and it's a bit limited. Actually, if we stick with the analogy of buying a drill, ideal clients don't just want the drill, and they don't just want to put a hole in the wall, right? What they might really be interested in, or that you could sell to them, is that feeling of pride that they're doing their house up. It might be the feeling that they're providing for their family. It might be a feeling that they're being proactive and making their house better. It might be the feeling that they're, you know, going to be a better person as a result of buying that drill. So the whole point of this one is to dig deeper into the benefits of what you're selling on an emotional level, a practical level, a rational level. Don't always just sell the drill, sell the whole. So 3, hammer home one main message. So it's quite likely that your agency is brilliant. It has loads of great stuff, right? You've probably got great people. There's a great culture. You've got loads of great case studies. You've got some awards on the shelf. And that's fantastic. And all of this makes up what's special and interesting about your agency. But when potential clients come to you and you're trying to throw all of these great messages at them on your website or in your credits deck, or however you're communicating with them through your content, they can't necessarily catch all of these simultaneously. You're throwing so much information at them, it can sometimes be a bit overwhelming. So we have this theory that you really want to hammer home one main message. So it doesn't mean that the other parts aren't valid. It's just give them one main thing that they can remember from you, that that will stick in their minds when they think of you. It's because you can't really be famous for everything. It's an impossible kind of ask as an agency. You can't possibly be famous for being passionate, friendly, award-winning, strategic, creative, collaborative. There's just too much then. It kind of waters it down, the effectiveness of it. So this is always quite scary for agencies, but to kind of pick one of the benefits or one of the features that you've got, as we just looked at, and really hammer home that message over and over and over again, because that is what will stick in your ideal client's mind. Number 4 is nail your agency's unique voice. So your voice is, you're going to have a voice naturally, right? Every human and every organization has a way of writing and speaking that just kind of feels natural. So it should absolutely be authentic to you, your voice. You shouldn't be forcing something fake. You shouldn't be trying too hard. And it should also marry up with the experience that clients get when they're in the room with you as well. So it should be authentic to you, your voice, but it should be you on your best day, obviously. And it should also match your ideal clients. So going back to the clients that you were looking to land, it should marry up. So if you're looking to work with, quite professional services, law firms, accountants, your tone of voice probably doesn't want to be too edgy, too sweary, too provocative. You want to probably mirror the language and voice of your ideal clients. Similarly, if you're looking to work with very young and disruptive brands, you probably don't want to go in with a very stiff and formal kind of voice. So it has to be authentic, but it also has to marry to the kind of clients that you want to land. So for example, formal and informal is an easy starting point. And there's loads of exercises online. You could Google tone of voice workshop and find a load of exercises. But a good spectrum to think about is formal and informal, like I just said. So for example, informal, you might use we're, which is, W-E-R-E with an apostrophe. And that's how people speak. A bit more formal, you would use we are, which sounds a bit more professional, a bit more written, a bit more traditional. So small little things like that. Same with grammar rules. You might want to decide whether you start sentences with and or because. You want to break some. You might want to use emoji. You might want to use lots of punctuation. All of these things need to be authentic to you, but also work for the ideal client. So like I said, there's loads of information about this and doing tone of voice workshops and strategy, and it's really important to go through that process. But then the next part is to write it down, because there's no point people trying to interpret your voice. So write down 3 or 4 adjectives that really describe the way you talk. Now, don't fall into the trap of being human and warm and friendly, because they're just how to write. So find some things that are distinctive to you, write them down and share them with the team so that everybody is communicating in a consistent kind of way. And then lastly, and this is kind of the key one for me, is to frame it all around you. So the you here is not your agency, but the you here is your client, your ideal client. So I bet if I was to load up everybody's agency website here right now, I would bet a fair amount of money that most of your sentences will start with the word we or our. And that's kind of natural, because you feel like, instinctively you're talking about yourself and what you do and all of those things. But the effect of that is it's a bit like a monologue and not a dialogue. So I'm sure you've been to a party at some point and you're chatting to somebody and they just talk about themselves, and you kind of slowly inch away and try and get away from them because it's just not that interesting after a while. And it's the same here, right? If you speak to somebody at a party and they ask lots of questions and they're very empathetic and it feels like a dialogue, you're much more engaged with those people and you tend to remember those after a party's over. So a kind of trick really, or not, a technique that works really well in bringing the client into the conversation and making them feel like you understand them and that you're talking directly to them, is to start more sentences with you or you'll. So you might say things like, you can expect this, you'll get this deliverable, you'll feel like this after we've worked together. And if you can flip your whole website to be much more around you and much less about we, it has that kind of really galvanizing effect of bringing the ideal client into the conversation, feeling very understood and feeling like you've written it to them. Now, this goes back to point 1, which is if you're trying to appeal to everybody, it's very hard to nail that you, because that you is very wide. So the more focused you're willing to be, the more effective it is when you're writing specifically to that person. So you need to think about all of your copy and content should speak to somebody, not at them. And then lastly, we're kind of keeping the DIY thing. So it's really the whole point of this is to build something that's very unique to you, that it's designed for your audience. So keeping this, forcing this metaphor a little bit further, this is a kindergarten in Germany that was built specifically for young kids. And it's been designed exactly and built, and architecturally, the strategy was there to build it for this. It's been done specifically for this audience, right? And it's exactly the same with all of these tools that I'm kind of giving you at this point, is to build it for somebody very specific, not just the general lookalike building that blends into the background, but to really have the commitment and focus to do something a bit more distinctive that stands out and really works for the people that you want it to attract. And that's kind of it. So yeah, we are Treacle, and this is specifically what we do for agencies. You can check us out on the website and feel free to drop us a line and have a chat with any questions. And I'm going to be hanging around for a bit if there's anything that I can chat to any of you about. That's it. Thank you, everybody.
Well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Roland. And thank you for the letters, drills, hammers, nails, and finally the frame.
Yeah.
So moving on now to Lee Goff. Lee is, I know, an advocate of making sure that you are resonating to your audience and making sure that your message is relevant. And he's going to be talking to us about once we get the client now and how to serve them better and how to productize your agency so that your conversations and your relationship with your clients actually go on to the next stage. So, Lee, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Wonderful.
So over to you.
Oh, thank you very much. And Roland, great presentation. A lot of that stuff is stuff we all need to remember on a regular basis, especially just talking to you, your target audience precisely. Highly recommend that. I also have a quick presentation, about a 5-minute presentation, and hopefully we'll leave a little bit of time for questions there. And so let me go ahead and share my screen. While I'm doing that, let's see here, get this going. Okay. All right. Baris, everybody, can you see my screen out there?
Yes.
All right. Good deal. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about productization, and this is critical when it comes to, first off, it helps you sell those clients. So it actually helps a guy like Roland out there because, one, when you have a product line, you always begin with the end in mind, meaning you always know who your target audience is, and you go out and you attempt to solve a precise pain point for them. And I'm sure Roland would probably agree with me when you say if you have a precise pain point and a precise target audience, it's much easier to write copy and get results that you're looking for. That same philosophy applies to productizing your agency. So today I put together about a 5-minute presentation. It's literally like 6 or 7 slides. I want to leave as much time for questions and just get as many questions from the audience as we can. And so I'm going to go through the 4 modules, kind of a quick start guide for your agency. Okay. Let me skip through a few of these. Okay, so the 4 modules, and I've been coaching on this topic and fine-tuning this pricing model for years. Now, what I'm about to give you is a quick start guide to kind of get your agency started down the road to productizing. And what you're going to find out in a productized model is much higher profits. And this is the key to keeping your clients. It makes everything easier whenever you go to deliver it. Therefore, your clients are happier. And if you begin with the end in mind, you set the proper expectation levels in the sales cycle so the entire operations go much, much smoother. So let me get into module 1. First, it all starts with what's called value-based pricing. You must establish, a value-based pricing baseline. A lot of you out there will sell custom services or bespoke services, and you won't have a product line to compare it to. If you don't have something to contrast your custom services to, they're going to assume that, whatever you charge over here, that's the highest that they can go with you, and there is nowhere to go up or down. So there's nowhere to show them a lower or a higher option as it compares to your custom services. So you establish a baseline with your product line so your target audience will have something to compare the custom services to. The goal is to sell 70 to 80% of your products, your off-the-shelf products, and 20 to 30% bespoke work. But for the bespoke work, you must establish that value-based pricing baseline, and that requires providing products of 2 or 3 different price points that convey the value-based prices. Think good, better, best. A lot of you have heard of this out there, this before. You should have a templated version of a website, even if you don't want to deliver it, but having it there to compare to. Then you can also offer a custom version. The simple act of giving a comparison on a templated, say $3,000 websites, and then you have a custom website that's $6,000. Nobody questions that custom work's going to be a lot more expensive, right? If you just go get a product off the shelf, everyone knows that's going to be cheaper than if you want to go get that product and put a rainbow, color palette, or whatever you want to do. If you want to customize that product, it's going to cost you more. So the simple act of having a value-based product line to compare your custom work to will allow you, guaranteed, will allow you to charge 30 to 40 to 50% more for your custom work. So very, very, very important. Okay. So the next thing is, let me skip through this. Okay. Now, in your product lines, the biggest mistake, I'm going to spend a little more time on this one than probably anything else, is that whenever they go to set up their product line, they set them up as like what I call it the whole enchilada. In my coaching program, I'm like, they want to sell the whole enchilada. And they literally mean they're putting everything on there, every kind of meat, protein, every kind of vegetable, every kind of sauce, and it comes out as this big. And then they get it and they're like, well, wait a second, I don't want chicken, or I don't want tomatoes, or I don't want whatever it might be. So when you're setting up a product line for your agency, you have to break everything down and sell into individual Legos or objects. This is critical because it allows your customers to pick and choose which options they want to put on their product line based upon their budgets that they have in their mind. Remember now, a lot of times prospects will tell you they have $5,000. But we all know that if you give the entrepreneur the opportunity to dream with that new dream car, they're probably going to spend $10,000. So give them the option to dream. They can go all custom if they want to. They can go partially custom. They can add additional pages like blogs or membership areas. Literally, the possibilities are endless. But first, you have to break it down into the individual ingredients, down to the tomatoes, down to the chives, down to the red sauce, green sauce, whatever it is. And it has to have a value associated to it. Tomatoes cost $5 today, or whatever it might be. And whenever you have that value, it allows you to do this. Okay, here's a pricing page for one of my students. They have what's called combo packages, and it's very common in the agency world. That's what you see right here on the left, the orange and the green. The difference is that each line item in that package has a detailed breakdown of what's included in each product line included in the combo package. If you don't break it down to the individual products within great detail, the clients will simply remove one or two pieces, right, out of the whole enchilada. And unfortunately, those pieces have a tendency to be your high profit margins, right? So what you want to do is you want to make sure and put a value to each one. So let me give you an example. Over here, we have a custom WordPress website for $4,995. That's kind of hard to see, probably small on your screen there. And then over here, it outlines everything they get. They get 10 pages total, custom branding, website, and everything else. And then same thing with blog, same thing with on-site SEO. And then you get down to the bottom of it. And if they pick one to pull out of there, no harm, no foul, your profit margin's still protected, your deliverables are still standardized, and the client is happier than they could have ever imagined, right? They're just ecstatic because they got only what they wanted. They only paid for what they wanted. And the ironic twist of this whole thing is, by giving them the option to dream, they almost always spend 30, 40, 50% more with your agency. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. It's outstanding, okay? You also get the option to do what's called value stacking. Once you have them broken down into individual Legos or objects, you can value stack them, okay? This, again, allows you to charge up to 40% more for services that you're already doing. And I mean, literally the exact same services you're doing right now. When you break them down into the individual objects, so two things are going to happen. One, you're going to realize, holy, I'm giving away a lot of stuff for free. That's the first thing that's going to pop in your head. And then two, you're going to actually start to convey the value in a much more clear way to your target audience. And believe it or not, they're going to be happy to pay the additional fees because they know what they're getting up front. That's basically how this works. So whenever you have each thing broken down into individuals, okay, you get to value stack those. And let's say it comes out to $10,000. And then you can give a 12-month pricing fee, and I'll knock off 5% because you got all this stuff. So you value stack it, you give the discount, and it's 10 times easier to close. Okay, so once you start to once you get the individual Legos done and you start to value stack it, I guarantee you your profits will go up 30 to 40% on average. That's what happens with my students. Okay, one thing is, it's like, well, wait a second, man. With products, do I have to show my pricing? Because every coach on the planet says, don't show your pricing. Oh no, it's the kiss of death, like that. Well, that is accurate if you remain a jack of all trades and a custom agency, of which, if you want to scale and not work your fingers to the bone until the day you die, you're going to have to realize that you're going to have to get some product lines, and you're going to have to get some systems. You're going to have to get this stuff in there. So should you display your pricing on your website and your marketing materials when you have a product line? The answer is yes. When you begin with the end in mind, meaning you develop your products based upon the specific pain points for your target audience, you should be proud to display your products' prices on your website. Do not shy away from showing your prices on a product line. Again, this gives you, your prospects, something to compare the custom work to, and it weeds out the prospects who can't afford your products or your custom services. It is a game changer whenever you do that. And again, on custom services, I would never advise you to put your prices on there like a flat rate, because they're going to, honestly, they're going to squeeze as much value out of that flat rate as they possibly can, because it's not broken down into individual line items. Now, if you begin with the end in mind and each one's clearly defined, then no problem. You can pluck that one out and put this one in there. It's no big deal. Your profits protected, your infrastructure is still standardized, and your deliverables are consistent and reliable. So don't shy away from putting your prices on your website when you have a product line. The next is selling. Okay, selling becomes 10 times easier when you have a product line. Proposals and proposals are all templatized, and you simply insert the product line into your proposal template. Marketing materials, exactly the same way. Your marketing materials are hyper-focused around the pain point, of which will obviously increase your conversions and deliver much more overwhelming value because you're solving a specific pain point. But most importantly, back to letting your prospects dream. Just like when you buy a new car, you should let your prospects dream about what they can have while you're consulting with them on their product line. Give them the opportunity to dream. Most entrepreneurs will spend a minimum of 30 to 40% more on any given project if given the opportunity to dream. When it's all custom, and for lack of a better term, you're kind of making it up on the fly, they can't dream because they don't know what the hell you can do, what you offer. They don't have the option to dream because there's no comparison. There's no choices. There's no options. So, and if you've ever purchased a new car, the very first time you purchase a new car, I swear you'll go in there, you'll pick out the line items, and when they deliver that car, you feel like Superman. Or Superwoman. Now, you know damn good and well you just picked off of a menu, and you know damn good and well it's standardized. That does not keep you from bragging to all of your friends about your custom beautiful car, even though you know it was standardized. Okay, so I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to open it up to questions. All right, let me stop sharing my screen here. Okay, Baris.
Thank you, Lee. That was really interesting to hear. We got, bear in mind, 4 minutes to go. So let me ask you both a question. So out of what I'm listening, I'm getting is the main message: do less but do it better. And also, when you present to the client, give them some choices and dream together, so that you achieve more on both ends. Am I reading it right here?
Roland, you want to take this one, or I'll take this one? So
you take that one, Lee.
Okay, yeah, spot on. Okay, and be more precise, be smarter. Again, when you're trying to do everything to everyone, you're not going to do anything for anyone. Okay, so if you're smarter with your planning and your products and your copywriting, and what I mean specifically on that is if you have a hyper-focused target audience and you understand their pain points intimately, okay, that makes Roland is, yeah, we're both Roland, you know, we're in this, I do this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it sounds so simple. It's actually hard to do. Sounds very, very easy for me to say right here. But if you have a hyper-focused target audience and you understand their pain points, you now can begin with the end in mind, and everything gets easier. And I mean, not a little bit easier. I mean, 10 times easier. It saves unbelievable amounts of time. And the second part of the question, Baris, what was that again?
It was about having clarity of product, I think, but you went into that already. So I have a question now specifically to Roland. Roland, I hear that speaking of us is a big problem. Yeah, we talk about we, our. If we leave that aside, what is the second biggest problem you find when you look at agency value propositions today?
Wow, that's a good question. I think value propositions are hard, and there's a kind of pyramid to value, right? At the bottom is the functional stuff, the services you offer, the features. Especially in B2B, at the top of the kind of pyramid is more sales, more profit, more growth. We kind of feel that everybody wants to jump straight up to the top of that pyramid and start selling more sales, more growth. And I think that is true. I'm not taking that away. But the first question any prospect has in their mind is how are you doing that? That's a universal claim for everybody in B2B. It lacks that credibility. So The magic is in the middle. It's not as functional and boring at the bottom. It's not too high up and dreamy and unsubstantiated at the top. It's the kind of the rational, the business, and the emotional benefits that you can find, the hooks there. And this goes back to Lee's point. The more you know your target audience and the deeper you can get inside their pain points and their brain, it's finding one of those that really resonates. And you might have to try a few things, but you should find either a business pain point or a personal pain point or an emotional hook, something that seems to catch people, and that gets them in. So yeah, don't just go for functional, don't go too high, try and find the authentic magic in the middle. That's the kind of feeling. But
Fantastic.
Lee might have something to add on that.
Actually, you hit the nail on the head. I think being authentic is critical. As a matter of fact, in today's climate, being authentic is a brand positioning element, if you ask me. Now, I think a lot of people might argue with that, but with the amount of fake it till you make it, BS that's kind of out there nowadays, look, man, we're all human. We're smart. You'll fool us for a little while on this thing, but they're catching on to it. And authenticity, in my opinion, is absolutely crucial. Okay. And when I say that, I mean authenticity is like you actually give a damn about the target audience, and you actually have thought through a product line that actually solves a pain point in their world, not just because you read it in an info book or some guru told you to do an info course on this thing. No, but because you actually care. And so that authenticity, I think, Roland, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that is the new for lack of a better term, a lot of the social currency that I'm hoping starts to come down the pipe a little bit more than what we've experienced in the last 5, 7, 10 years personally. So
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, our time is up. Thank you so much for being with us today. And to our audience, if you want to catch these guys, I'm sure they will be on the networking. So try to do that. And we go to our last networking break of the day now for another 15 minutes. But do come back to the main stage right after that, because we have the last session of the day coming up. See you there. Thank you.